let me get my headphones so we can have good quality.
No worries.
I'm ready, but I got carried away. Got that new album coming out on Friday, so we're just kind of coordinating it all right now.
Well, yeah, I'm sure you're insanely busy. I mean, you're also in the middle of a tour right now, right?
I am in the middle of a tour right now, and it's pretty hectic.
Yeah, I can't imagine. So I'm even more glad that you're able to fit me in the schedule.
Yeah, no problem.
But how is it all going? I mean, are you able to balance it all well, or is it, is right now particularly hectic time compared to the past few weeks?
Well, it's honestly kind of like up in the air right now because the Delta variant is doing what it's doing and people aren't getting vaccinated. So it's, and also they're talking about those booster shots and how the booster shots are needed, but we're not going to have them because it's an ethical dilemma giving an entire country booster shots.
Yeah.
When other countries haven't even gotten the first shot. So that's up in the air on whether or not the FDA is actually going to go forward with that. So I'm actually less safe than I was, before because the vaccine wears off. So
yeah.
So everything's just kind of up in the air and really unsure right now.
Yeah, I mean, I imagine it's one of the most stressful possible times to be touring. But I mean, your work ethic is really inspiring. I mean, you've got a new album coming out soon, and like just the past year or two, you've put out 2 amazing live albums, and it's only 2 electronic albums, right? So far.
Jackie the Robot, Volume 1 and 2. Yeah, but we're actually we have a plan for those. We're gonna take them down and re-release them under an actual Jackie the Robot name instead of under Jackie Venson.
Yeah.
So we have a little bit of a plan for that because I also have Volume 3 kind of on deck. It hasn't been released yet.
Well, I have questions about all of it. You've been doing a lot of awesome stuff. But just to get into things, I mean, first of all, I want to say thank you again for being so cool when I met you in Austin. I went out there just for a week and I didn't know anybody. And John Dees,
nice.
The great John Dees, was so welcoming in the community, and it was so great to meet him and D Madness. And it was really like great seeing you play with them at Spider House when I was out there.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah. It was a good time.
And you were so cool and introduced yourself, and it was such a great hang. And honestly, that's probably the big reason that this interview is happening. That I was able to make it out to that show, and it was really a fantastic show. But
nice.
How have things been in the Austin scene? I mean, have you gotten to do a lot in Austin lately, or is it all out on the road?
No, I've been totally out. I haven't been home since July 30th.
Oh, wow. Oh, my God.
So I don't really know what's going on in Austin right now, I'm going to be honest. I do know that it's at stage 5 COVID, so that's about all I know. That's
wow.
about all I know right now.
Yeah, well,
yeah, I've been just like gone, man.
So you've lived in Austin your whole life.
Yep.
Would you say that you feel most at home in the Austin scene, or is there other particular places you really love to spend your time performing and working on your music?
I really love San Diego. I learned how to use the sampler in San Diego, so that was and the sampler is like pretty much the centerfold of my music creation and delivery at this time. And I learned how to I rented it in Austin the morning I had a flight to San Diego because I was just going there to just hang out and just be there. I rented it in Austin, and I learned how to use it in San Diego.
Now, is that what you're using for a lot of your what you're producing over your performances with Rodzilla? I'm sorry, what's his full name?
Yeah, Rodney Hyder.
Yeah. I watched your audio tree with him.
Yeah.
I watched.
Yeah. That's how you're hearing anything that's not guitar, singing, or drums. I'm triggering with my feet, and the footboard is the controller that controls the sampler. If you watch the audio tree again, you can see the sampler. It's directly to my right.
Yeah, I mean.
And whenever the song ends, I switch to the next song on it. You can kind of see me interacting with it.
Yeah, I mean it comes together so like amazingly. I honestly am not super familiar with those types of rigs to have, but you seem to have a great system for it. I also saw D Madness's his band perform with a lot of loops going on, and it's got me really interested in those kind of systems because both of you make it sound so great for the song, and it all comes together so professionally because I like a bigger band, but you fill so much space just with you and Rodney. And I don't know, it's a really cool thing. I need to like step up my game and learn more about that kind of stuff.
Well, it's just nice. It's nice because players are not always available. Players are not always adequate.
Well, so,
A bad player, or not a very good player, not a very skilled player, is not going to sound as good as my two-piece band with samples.
And I'm sure that's just convenient during COVID.
The end of the story. Well, yeah, it's also convenient during COVID. It's also convenient for streaming.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just nice to have the option of people who can only operate with a band are extremely limited. And often the times when somebody is only operational with a band, they dip off and do a solo project so that they can do that without having to get 6 people in a room to do anything or to make any decision. So it's like, it's not, I don't know where this, like, I guess we're all stuck in the old tradition, but you don't always need to have 7 people on stage to have a really great sound. And sometimes when you do have 7 people on stage and 3 out of 7 of those people are not very good players, sometimes a 2-piece band with a sampler is going to sound better than your band.
Yeah,
just how it is.
I'm sure it's truer to your image of what you want to get across too.
I know, but what's the point in having a good image if your shit doesn't sound tight? Someone rolls in with a band in a box and flushes you guys under the rug because your players aren't tight, or they're not rehearsed, or they're irresponsible and so they're drunk and they're not playing as good as they used to. There's just so many things that can go wrong when you have 6 personalities to coordinate and organize and tour with.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the fans don't want that. They paid for a ticket and they want to hear a song. They want to hear your songs, and so however you deliver your songs, if they sound the way the fans want them to hear them, why does it matter how many people are on stage?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I mean, in those small numbers, it's you're still like a very animated performer. You're still very captivating, and I mean, Rodney is like he sounds fantastic on the drums, and he's
Rodney's a gem.
Yeah, and obviously he's just there playing the drums, but he has a stage presence to him, and it's like I said, it gels so well.
I deliberately put him next to me so that you can see him.
Yeah.
Like, we are the show. And that's why I put it next to me, because it's like, I don't want people to wonder, hey, where's the person that's supposed to be filling up that space? It's like, well, he's right next to me. That's where he is. And that's because when you put him in a place, when you try to put a duo in a 4-piece band stage plot, it's going to look empty. And so then people's psyche might make them think it sounds empty. But if you have the drummer and the 2 people take up the entire stage, then you kind of eliminate that weird mind trick.
Yeah, like I said, you have a great presence together, and it's nice to see that you are putting him out front like that. I'm
it's crucial.
I can't imagine.
He's gotta be out front.
I'm sure you have.
People gotta see him,
Yeah. But I know that you two must have a incredibly deep relationship, because I know that he played drums for your father.
Yeah, he did for 2 decades almost, 2.5 decades.
So you must have known him your entire life.
He knew my parents before I was born.
Yeah.
He met my mom and dad like 4 years before I was born.
So how did you end up deciding that he was the guy? What was it like your first performances, getting to finally work with him, kind of like on a level playing field?
Oh, well, you mean like what was it like going from being in 4-piece bands or 3-piece bands with him to being a duo with him?
No, I mean, when you got to the point where you were professionally working alongside him, I mean, was that relationship just natural from the beginning? Did you?
Oh, yeah.
Was he like a teacher for you before that?
No, he just, I sent him the music. Dad retired. I needed a new drummer. I sent him the music. and he learned it, and we got together in rehearsal, and we just went down the list. And, you know, not all the songs were perfect because it was his first time playing them, but we just went right to rehearsing because he just rehearsed with my dad. And
Okay.
I had already worked in a band for years, 3 or 4 years before Rodney joined the band. So, like, he was just coming in on the project. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, oh, you're older than me, or like, oh, it's like, no, he plays drums with other people's bands, and now I'm calling him up to play drums with my band. It was real, just good old-fashioned music business. Like, hey, man, you're rad. Come be in my band. Okay,
Yeah.
Cool. Here's the rehearsal. All right, let's do this. It was really like that. And he fit in like a puzzle piece because he's a really great player.
Yeah, so cool. Yeah, I know he seems like he's does such a good job of keeping it like pocket, but so he's just really tasteful, and I love that in a drummer. You know, he
Yeah, it's hard to find. It's hard to find. Very hard to find. And a drummer that's way too flashy will ruin the show. Because the people who came to hear the songs, they can't hear the lyrics over this drummer going crazy every second he can think to do it. You know, like, this is what people don't understand. It's like, the band is not the minimum. It's like, no, the songs are the minimum, and the delivery of the show are the minimum. And if the band contributes to that, or if having a 5-piece band or a 3-piece band or a 10-piece band, if that contributes to the overall goal of delivering the songs, then so be it. But if these songs can be delivered with 2 people, then that's just the end of the story. If you're sitting there listening to this show, watching this show, you know these songs a little bit, and you're getting everything you want out of this song, then it just doesn't matter what is happening on stage. You're getting what you want. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You came to hear this song, you came to hear that song, you came to hear a guitar solo, right? Whatever you came to the show to hear, maybe you didn't come to the show to hear anything and you just want to hear good music. It's not, like, there's this really weird archaic mentality that you have to have a band on stage to, like a 4-piece band or a 3-piece band to deliver the music. What people don't understand is that not only is that not true, it's like if you get the wrong combination, you actually are worse off than if you didn't have a band at all. If you get the wrong combination of players, the wrong combination of attitudes, you know, like my solo show with a drum machine is better than a band of players that don't like each other. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or a band of players who aren't very skilled.
Yeah, well, I mean, just watching your stuff already had me thinking about it, but you're schooling me a bit on just reconceptualizing how I can do things, and it's awesome that you're like paving the way. Just like you just have a really unique thing going on. This is all just mentioning your regular Jackie Venson performances, and then I check out Jackie the Robot, and it was sick. The video you released, like the simple concept, like what you were doing with the camera and the truck. Yeah, I saw it at first. I was like, oh yeah, I guess I've seen stuff like this. Like it's kind of like it's a pretty, like, I get the concept, but it really like fit the vibe of the album really well, and the subtle edits you did, and the way the camera was going. It was a sick video. I like, and the production sounds amazing. Like, I don't know. You have so many different skill sets. It's so cool to watch.
Oh, thanks, man. I appreciate that.
It's so hard to.
It was all born from like the fact that I also was in that old way of thinking. Like, I want to write songs and I want to perform them. Looks like I have to get a band. Like I was stuck in that for years because that's what you're told. Just like we're told, go to college and you'll get a job afterwards. Do you know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Like there's these archaic ways of thinking that the world has changed that aren't true anymore. And I fell victim to that one as well. But then I realized after trying to juggle personality and herd cats for years that, like, sometimes a band holds you back, And I found these machines that allow me to play parts and then play them back to me so I can hear what they sound like. And then maybe I want to hear what this keyboard part sounds like with a bass. Well, the technology allows me to play the keyboard part, have it loop, and then pull up a bass sound on my keyboard and see what that sounds like. Or pull out an electric bass guitar and see what that sounds like since I can play the guitar now.
Yeah.
So it's like, you know what I mean? Whereas you try to go and write a song with a band, one person in the band is like over flexing and like just like probably puts a way more complicated keyboard part or bass part than what was needed because they just wanted to show off. And and then like multiply that happening times like 10,000, because some of these bands have like 6 people in them. Imagine all the personalities. Oh my God. Hey, I think this melody sounds good. Everyone in the band thinks it sounds good. Background singer raises her hand. I don't think it sounds good. Boom, the song gets halted. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, think about how many people get held back because they're just trying to uphold this weird thought that you have to have a band in order to arrange and perform music, when the technology is like, no, you don't.
Yeah, no, I love how much you're schooling me right now, because the confidence, but you're like telling me how it can work if I put aside those preconceived notions. I mean, obviously it can work because you're killing it that way. So it's really cool to see. I have so many different like little tangents I can go off of on all these things. It's so hard to even keep my brain on track for the interview.
How many of your favorite bands have broken up and you're just like, damn it, and you just get really sad because you're like, never going to hear music of them again. I didn't ever want to put people through that. Like, I want to be able to just like have a creative idea, form it, mold it into something, make it shiny, and let people hear it and see it. And I don't want anybody to stop me.
Yeah. Well, I imagine this helps a lot as a producer in this element, but it's got to be, it's pretty frustrating to watch you be such an amazing guitar player, but you're actually originally a piano player. Like that's messed up, Jackie. I'm dying to hear you play the piano. I mean, I assume what I'm hearing on Jackie the Robot, there's some piano playing that you did to produce
and
it.
Also Vintage Machine. I play all the keyboard parts on Vintage Machine, the whole record.
Yeah, but like before I even knew you played keyboard, I saw you play guitar, and you're like you're such a tasteful rhythm player, but like insane lead player. And I don't know, I have questions about the keyboard and everything. All right, well, here's where I'll start. Who would you say on guitar is someone you relate to as a rhythm player and as a lead player?
I would say Buddy Guy.
Just for both?
For lead. And then for rhythm, man, probably Peter Tosh in Bob Marley's band.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know him by name, but I should know that.
Yeah, crazy. Well, he was in the Wailers, it was a huge band.
Yeah.
It's hard to know the name of everybody in the Wailers. There's like 13 of them.
Yeah.
But he's a really great rhythm guitar player. And he did leads too, but his rhythms were just so intuitive. It's like that's exactly what belonged there. And he just tuned into that and knew it somehow. And it fits right in, but if it weren't there, I would notice. It's like if it's there, I don't notice it. If it's not there, I notice that it's not there.
Yeah.
That's the key to rhythm. You don't want people to know that you're playing, but if you stop playing, they're like, "What happened?"
Yeah. And
something changed.
Yeah, as a bassist, I need to think more like that too, because
bass player is the master of that. You have to be the best bass players in the world. Understand that on a deep level.
Yeah, I still fight with it. It's hard. Like you said, it's hard to serve the song. But that's the job. Yeah.
That is the job. That's how. Well, it's not okay. Let me just put it this way: it's not the job, but because music is music, and everybody should be able to create and express themselves exactly how they want to create and express themselves. Like everything I'm saying is just that I've realized in my individual journey. But there's other people who have gone through totally different things. There are people who've been in a band for 20 years, and they just have the perfect chemistry, and that's beautiful. There's no wrong or right way to do it. There's just the way that I do it is based upon my experiences and the hurdles that I've been through. You know what I mean? The obstacles.
Yeah.
Where I've ended up was a conglomerate of tools I used to overcome obstacles. And so, and that's kind of everybody, but everybody overcomes their own obstacles in their own way. So what I'm trying to say is serving the song is not the job, but I will tell you that it is the highest paying job in music.
Yeah.
If you want to actually make like a tangible career as a performer and a songwriter, you need to serve the song, and you need to hire people who serve the song, and you need to hire producers who serve the song, and anybody who tries to start name dropping and bringing ego into it, they're not serving the song anymore. They're serving themselves.
Yeah.
And so, if you want a viable career as a songwriter and a performer who sings their songs, you have to serve the song, because the songs are working whether or not you're working. Right now, there's like 30 people listening to me on Spotify. Those songs are doing work for me. I'm not doing anything, and people are just consuming those songs. For all I know, some of those people have heard those songs 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then they come to a show. And I promise you that if they pay $20 or more for a ticket, or $15 or more for a ticket to hear a song, and they don't hear it the way that they love it, they're not going to be happy with the show. I promise you.
Yeah. Well, again, you're just dropping facts on me. I mean, even though some of these things I've heard in other words, it's so nice to hear them put this way. While we're on the topic of like advice for people, I know that you didn't, I've read, I won't sum up your whole experience myself, but I've read that you didn't necessarily love your whole experience at Berklee. And obviously, I'm sure there's a lot of great things you got out of it, but with what you've learned from that experience, what advice do you have for young musicians who aren't really sure if college is the right thing for them, or even specifically Berklee?
I think that, like, pretty much the beginning and end of it all is, can you pay for it? And the answer to that question is what decides whether or not you should go.
Yeah.
Can you pay for it? Can you pay for it soon? Is it going to be a detriment? You paying for it, is it going to take away something from you? Are you going to be indebted for 2 decades, 3 decades, or just 2 or 3 years? Like, how much of a toll is this price of this school going to take on your life? And the higher the toll, the more you should say, no, you don't need it. You can find another way. You can learn this stuff another way. You really can. Now, you wanted to go to Berklee to learn how to use a studio? How about you just go intern at a studio? If there's no studio in your town, find the nearest town that does have a studio. Figure it out. It'll be cheaper than, $250,000.
Yeah.
Just like weigh the outcome. You know what I mean?
How does that? That's
the only advice, because otherwise it's a great school. You're going to learn a lot of great stuff there. But everything I learned there, I could have learned in the real world.
That was kind of my experience. I went to the College of St. Rose in Albany, New York, and while I enjoyed my time there, it definitely felt like that a lot of the lessons that were there to learn were in the actual music scene around the school.
Yes, exactly.
And
just live it. Just live it. You want to go to college to songwrite? No, just start songwriting. Go hang out with songwriters. Find a songwriter workshop. Find a songwriter masterclass online. You don't have to spend $250,000 to increase your knowledge any way that Berklee can. You can find a workaround. Yeah. But that being said, it was really valuable social lessons. I kind of learned how people in the music business are. It was very useful for me when I got back, and I started trying to work, and people were trying to act a certain way, and I could tell how they were acting. I wasn't just like some stupid 18-year-old coming out of her house for the first time. Yeah. Like high school in one town, like my whole life in one town, middle school, elementary school, high school, all the same people. That's where I was coming from. Same house, 18 years.
Yeah, same here. Yeah, that was my same experience.
Really, really valuable. Finally getting out of like my little bubble. Yeah. At a young age too, because some people don't get out of their bubble till way later. So I appreciated that. It was really hard being out of my bubble, and I met some really terrible people, and I went through some terrible things, but I also went through some great things, and just the overall crystallization of society and what it's like to live in it without your parents. Really important experience to have.
Yeah. Well, back on the topic of some of your influences. I mean, there's a few different things I want to hit on here. I want to go back to piano for a sec. if you had to name a piano player who you really relate to and like the way they play and the sound they get and their concept of piano, is there a person that still really sticks with you even in your guitar playing?
Vladimir Horowitz.
Oh, I never heard of him.
He's a classical piano player. He's really great. I just wanted to be him, basically.
Yeah. So
so every time I would learn a new song, like my teacher would be like, "Here, we're going to learn this song now." I would only agree to learn it if Vladimir Horowitz had a recording of it.
So when you played piano, were you more focused on that than any other style?
Yeah, I only did classical piano for the bulk of my piano playing. So I played the piano actively for 13 years. And there was probably only 1 year where I joined a kid band. And by kid band, I mean everybody in the band was under 18. I joined a kid band as a part of this cool program my dad kind of tricked me into being a part of, because he wanted me to stop playing so much classical piano because he didn't see how it was ever going to be a viable career, and he was correct, and I'm really glad that he did that. But he started breaking me out of, he'd be like, "Hey, I know you want to practice that, but why don't you come sit in with my band and we can teach you a song. It's way easier than what you're playing right now." That's how he would con me into going back in the rehearsal space and learning chords instead of learning compositions. Just no, just play this chord. Check it out. That's all you have to do. Isn't that crazy? My dad just kept on being like, "Look, you're doing way too much. All you got to do is bling, just like that. That's all you have to do." And he just kind of slowly did that starting when I was 15. He bought me a keyboard and he slowly started pushing me in the direction of not playing classical piano, but I was still doing heavy classical piano all around all that.
Do you see yourself returning to playing classical piano at some point? Is that something you'd like to do?
No way.
Okay.
It's way too hard.
Oh yeah, I can't imagine working on a tune like that.
It's
the
so
most
hard
virtuosic.
that it's so hard. It's not even fun. I don't even understand who I was enjoying that shit. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get into a frame of mind. It would be like enjoying doing physics or something. I'm just not that person anymore. When I know how little it takes to just have a good time and have everyone in the room have a good time, I already have am fully aware of how relatively little it takes. So I'm not going to spend a year and a half learning a song, dude. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not going to spend a year and a half learning one song, getting it up to the written tempo, memorizing the notes. It's a 20-page song, 10-minute song.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, would you say that it's more the improvisation that's satisfying, or the fact that it's your own tunes? I mean, what? It's
the fact that it's my own tunes, yeah. For sure. And the people whose tunes you learn in classical music, they've been dead for centuries. So it's just it's so disconnected from the world we live in now.
Yeah.
And I don't want to disconnect that much because I have to live in the world that we live in now. So I don't want to disconnect from it. I have to live in it. So I need to keep my eyes and ears open, and I need to find a way to fit into this world, fit what I can do into this world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, everything I do is just going to fall on deaf ears, and that sounds like hell. Some people like that. Some people like having music for themselves and just playing it for themselves. I'm not one of those people. I have to share it, or else I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah. Well, another influence of yours that I know is close to you is Disney movies.
Oh, yeah, for songwriting and arranging. Huge.
Yeah.
Huge for songwriting and arranging. And for singing style. The singers on those movies, they were always so great. It's literally Regina Bell, so great. So, and
well, which movies?
The way they sung. Oh, Lion King. Adult Simba's
nice.
debut was this shit, man.
Yeah.
Every kid I still get chills in that shit. When he grows up during Hakuna Matata and then he breaks out with that beautiful voice.
Yeah.
So much soul. I listened to it the other day. You're not remembering it wrong. It sounds that good. It holds up, Some of the songs that you hear when you're a kid, you're listen to it again, you're like, oh, man, I was a weirdo. Not Disney songs, man. I listened to that shit as an adult, and I'm like, damn, this shit was good.
Yeah, no, I know. I used to listen to Aladdin so much.
Yeah. Oh, my God, dude. I know so much about music now, and I still listen to that shit, and I'm like, damn, this shit is good. Wow. So
Yeah.
good. Moana, the music from Moana is so good.
I still haven't seen Moana. I'm out of the
you
loop.
gotta see it. It's so good. And the Princess and the Frog.
That one too. I need to get hip to it. I'm out of the loop.
Good. Crazy good.
But
they don't fuck around. They only get masters. Disney only gets masters. Like, hey, we're gonna do a digital movie and we need a team of animators. It's gonna be the 12 best animators on the fucking planet. Well, even if they have to pull from other countries, they'll get a translator on site. Fuck it.
Well, that was one of the coolest things is how amazing the animation is. To every angle is so great.
They only work with masters.
Yeah. Do you know the Japanese company Hayao Miyazaki and Studio Ghibli? It's that same thing for me. It's like how beautifully done all the art is.
So much quality.
Yeah, like the depth to every little element of it.
And the more usually what happens if you're a cynic, usually what happens is a company starts off or an artist starts off and they're really great, and they break in and they become really popular because of how great they are. And then something happens once they start getting a lot of money and the quality just starts diminishing. I swear it's happened a million times. Some people have argued that it's happened with Adam Sandler movies. I don't know if I agree with that. But what I'm saying is, it's happened a lot where the artist doesn't sound anything, or the company or the product isn't anything like it was before it became multi-million or multi-billion. So with Disney, it's the opposite. The more money they get, the more they push the boundaries. They're like, we're going to just start doing straight impossible shit because we have $100 million to around with. We're just going to literally film this entire movie from actual space because we can. But we're not just going to film it from actual space. We're going to cast literal astronauts. They're always going to fuck around and do the best possible thing humanity can possibly do because they have so much money. And they only work with masters because it's carte blanche for that shit.
Do you think you'll do you foresee any potential chances for you to work with Disney?
God damn, man. I don't know. Do you see any potential chances for me to become mega famous like Beyonce? Maybe.
I see it. I see it.
I don't always see it. It comes and goes because I'm just not the right type of person to do that mega pop star shit. Just not. And I never will be. I'm too much of a Joan Jett rebel.
Well, but that that in itself is so Disney. That the character has that sense of it's okay for me to not be that. But
if Disney had me write music for one of their movies, oh my god, I don't even think I would have any ambitions after that.
Well, I mean, they kind of owe you. You're really promoting their movies pretty heavily right now.
They don't need me. They can get Jon Batiste. They can get Beyonce herself. They have already. Beyonce was Nala in the latest Lion King movie.
That's true.
They can they don't need me. They can literally get Quincy Jones to produce an entire Motown movie for them if they want. They can get Stevie Wonder to sing on it. Dude, the things that they can do are just, they can get literally Sir Paul McCartney to write songs for a movie of theirs before they ask me. Think about this. I'm just let's just be real with this, man. Think about the people who are living right now. I don't see a path that gets me to where they would ask me to do it and then also maybe ask Paul McCartney. I don't see it right now. Paul McCartney would be dead by the time I got there. I don't see it. I don't see it anytime soon. Maybe after a lifetime of work. Maybe. I could see it maybe happening in 25 years. I could see me maybe having a few hits, maybe. But it's going to take a long time.
Yeah, well, I think you have a great attitude about it. I'm just saying it doesn't sound so far-fetched to me just because of
It doesn't because it's so intangible.
Yeah, it's not. There's no way to predict. It's so up in the air. It's not something. It's not one of the kind of goals you can just specifically set your sight on. But also, I see it. I see it in your style and your work ethic and just the fact that it's something that resonates with you.
Well, it resonates with me to perform, and performing is a snowball by nature. You know, one person sees you, tells a friend. 2 people have seen you. Those 2 people tell 10 friends. Now we're up to 12 people, and then those 10 friends. It's literally like so on and so forth. To where you start getting into the hundreds, getting into the thousands, getting into the hundreds of thousands. 20,000 people see you at Blues on the Green, which happens every other Wednesday in the summer, normally in Austin, Texas. 20,000 people see you. If that one night those 20,000 people are just on one, and they each call 2 people about you, we're already up to 60,000 people talking about you in one night.
Yeah.
And with social media, that can happen. Those 20,000 people can each take a video and then have their friends share that video. Like, it's a natural snowball being a performer, especially if you put on a good show. It's another natural snowball. People see it, and 80 to 90% of the time they like it. That's upping your chances of them talking about it, sharing it. So yeah, like, logically speaking, it is possible that I could get to that place. Yes. But it takes a really long time for people to, figure out that you're playing and come to the show. I'll play Minneapolis 3 times, and then the 4th time, maybe I have 100 people. And then that's like 2 weeks of my life spent doing that for 100 people.
Yeah.
And it's like, there's not enough time. Something crazy has to happen. Like, there has to be a hit, or there needs to be some kind of freak thing where some really big company or big artist, tells you they want to do this or something like that because they believe in you. That doesn't happen as much as a viral video does. A lot of people get started on this path, this snowball path, with viral videos. Some people get into movies. That helps. But all of those things that I just listed are things that are very intangible. You're not like, oh, you know what? It's Tuesday. I'm going to have a viral video today.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? I'm going to be in the next big blockbuster, so I'm just going to go to LA and just be in it. So I'll see you guys later. Check me out on a Marvel movie next year for sure. I can definitely guarantee that's going to happen. Like, you don't just up and do that. Like, things have to happen. Dominoes have to fall. Shit has to go and stay in place. You have to stay afloat. You have to keep yourself out there. It costs money to be out there.
Yeah.
It costs time. It costs time and money to be out, to put yourself out there, to go on tour, to put your stuff on Facebook. You have to pay to get that stuff made if you want it to be of any quality.
Yeah.
Like, what I'm saying is it costs money to put yourself out there. And depending on how much time and money you have, that's and how good the product is, how much it stands up for itself and stands up on its own, which also is something intangible. I'm going to write a song that everyone's going to love today. Here we go. You can't just do that. It's like this intangible thing. The artist never knows which song of theirs is going to be a hit. That's like classic sayings. You never know which one it's going to be.
Yeah.
Like, it's so intangible.
And even hits people hate also.
Yep. They also hit. Some songs become a hit because they're so bad. I'm serious.
Yeah. No, yeah, absolutely.
And then that person has to deal with that kind of career.
Yeah.
But then there's also like just the cocktail of weird shit that has to happen in order for you to first get there, and then second, stay there. So some people get there and they're there for a second, and then you never hear about them again. So like, you set out saying, you know what, I want to work with Disney, so I got to go get a big mega hit. Well, that's not always going to work. There's a lot of people who have had big mega hits that Disney does not give a shit about calling.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? That didn't even work for them. Like, it's just like, I've been observing it my whole life, and I've been hyper observing it in my career because I have to make decisions for my career, and I always make decisions based on, the ceiling of success. And it's an extremely intangible thing.
Yeah.
And it's very difficult to see. It's like a mirage. So it's like, do you see yourself there? I'm like, I don't even know what it is. I don't see myself where.
Well, I imagine you're the type of person who's always hungry for more. I mean, a lot of artists like that.
Yeah, I do kind of chase that a little bit, but I try not to let it go to my head because otherwise you'll go crazy. Nothing's ever good enough. You go crazy.
Yeah. But it's, I don't know.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, you're making total sense. And I'm not trying to say anything like, oh, I'm going to assume you're going to do this or that. But, it's like obvious that you have so much like passion and hard work behind the music. It's just it seems at this point, who knows where you're gonna be 5 or 10 years from now.
Yeah.
It's like
who knows? Literally nobody knows. All I know is that it's my most developed skill, and I am a human that lives in USA Earth. And in USA Earth, you have to make money, and you have to do something.
Yeah.
Like, you don't just, like, fucking sit around. This isn't Europe. You don't just get 4 months off and universal income. We don't get that here. We have to fucking work. Every single one of us. And it doesn't even matter what that work is. That's the beauty of today. That work could be like doing a podcast. For some people, that's their work. That's great.
Yeah.
Good for them. They figured that out. But, like, whatever your skill is, and you got to use it, or else the only alternative is that you got to work for somebody else, and that can be its own nightmare in its own right.
Yeah.
And I don't really want to work for anybody else. I've never been that kind of person. So I see the only skill that I have that I can look somebody in the eye and be like, pay me this to do this. Like,
yeah.
Give me your money for this. Like, I have to be able to look people in the eye and be able to take their money for a service. Like, it's the only skill I have that I deem worthy of taking people's money for.
Yeah.
People's hard-earned money in exchange for some really nice entertainment.
This got really deep, Jackie. You're really deep. You know that? This is a dope interview. Let me know if I'm keeping you too long, by the way.
Maybe I'm just high, man.
Let me know if I'm keeping you too long.
No, it's cool. If you got any more questions, I'm just chilling, man. Don't worry about it.
All right. Well, here's a totally different note that I wanted to touch on, because I saw in one interview that part of your development as a singer was as a host of a karaoke night. So I got to know, what's the karaoke song you'd call right now, and what's the craziest thing that's happened to you at a karaoke night?
Okay, so the craziest karaoke night. Okay, there was one night I was doing karaoke at Anderson Mill Tavern off of Anderson Mill Road in North Austin, Texas. And, like 3 people there as per usual. And, I was just getting the night started. It's usually about a 4-hour slot, like 8 to midnight. So I'm getting ready to get started, and, like, to be a host, you have to sing, because otherwise people don't know it's karaoke. You literally have to tell them and show them how to do it. That's a part of being a host, so if you ever want to get better at singing, like, be a karaoke host. But anyways, I digress. Start singing, and there's, like, 3 people, and then one person gets up. His name's Charles. He's a regular. He gets up and sings Whiskey River, sad as song. The bar is just, like, f***ing dead. This guy is, like, singing about people drinking themselves to death. And then all of a sudden, like, the doors ring, like, the bells above the doors ring, and, like, literally, like, 40 or 50 people just pile into the bar. It was like a after party for a wedding. Like, the couple had gone off to do their, wedding thing. And then the wedding party was just around. And so they just decided to come to Anderson Mill Tavern. So there was just, like, it went from, like, 0 people and an old guy singing about people drinking themselves to death to, like, a literal wedding reception. They were, like, singing, like, you make me want to shout. It was literally, like, they sang My Girl. Like, I'm serious. It was, like, a wedding reception. So, like, saddest, like, most soul-crushing karaoke gig to, like... Yeah, to, like, party. Like, 50 people, dude. Yeah. It was like, they came in on a charter bus. Wild, dude. It was wild.
And you didn't tell me the karaoke song. What would you be singing?
I would probably try to sing A Long Walk by Jill Scott, even though it's a really
challenging song. I love that
song.
That's such a dope song.
Okay, so check it out. When I was doing karaoke, I made it a point to use the karaoke as, first of all, I needed money, because I wasn't very good at the guitar. And this is what I did to hold down the bills while I learned how to play the guitar. And I needed the free time. I couldn't be doing a 9-hour-a-day job 5 days a week. I needed to be able to go to jams. So karaoke was 4 hours, 3 or 4 days a week, and I'd make, like, maybe $600 a week, which was totally enough at the time to just cover rent and, like, a gram of weed a week. So, like, I did karaoke for the money, and I also did it. I was like, okay, it's going to crush my soul if I don't see something else in it. So I was like, I need to become better at singing. So I'm just going to, like, listen to songs, and if I have the song in my karaoke library, I'm going to sing it. And I'm just going to keep on, like, upping the challenge. And so I worked my singing up to Jill Scott's A Long Walk. I used to be able to do a really good job on that song, but I haven't sang it in years, so I think it would be pretty rough.
Yeah.
It's a challenging song. She sings a lot, so you got to really be strategic about where you breathe.
Oh, yeah, I'm not even on that level. I'm not nearly a good enough singer to be thinking on that level.
It's a really difficult song, man, but I worked up to it, you know?
Yeah.
First I would sing, like, a Duffy song, and then I'd sing Amy Winehouse, and then I'd sing, you know, I'd work up to it. Then I'd do, like, an Erykah Badu song. Jill Scott is a hefty singer. She doesn't around on her recordings. Yeah. Sometimes Erykah Badu has songs that are a little bit easier to sing. She has songs that aren't very easy to sing, but she also has songs that are. See, Jill Scott doesn't have any songs that are easy to sing.
See, I have no concept of this stuff. I try to sing along with, like, Didn't You Know by Erykah Badu, and it's not in my range at all. It's not like even when I do try, I'm not going to sing it well regardless. I have no concept of these things, but they're both amazing. Like,
yeah, they're both really amazing, but Jill Scott is, like, more athletic of a singer, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. So, like, her songs are very hard to sing. You got to, like, breathe right at the perfect times, or else you're going to run out of air, and you're not going to be able to finish that line.
Yeah.
Whereas Erykah Badu is, like, a little chiller sometimes. She's like, oh, Tyrone.
Yeah.
And then it's like a breath. There's time. You know, she's, like, a little more relaxed in the way that she sings, whereas Jill Scott is just kind of, like, kicking down doors, man. You know? And, like, somebody who's more challenging than Jill Scott is Whitney Houston, because she sings high, and she does a lot of riffs.
Yeah.
See, Jill Scott does riffs, but she doesn't work them into the melody. She has a melody that you can learn, whereas Whitney Houston is just, like, free expression. You're just like, how am I supposed to learn that? Same with Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey just, like, sings what she hears in her head. How the f*** are you supposed to learn that? I'm not hearing that. I'm not hearing what you're hearing, Mariah. I can't do that shit. Whereas Jill Scott, you know, at least there's a melody. It might be a challenging melody, but it's still a melody, and you can learn it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Barely.
So, yeah, I consider these singers, like, different difficulty levels. And I would just work up to them. You know, Amy Winehouse was only difficult because of her tone of voice, so unique, trying to, like, sound that expressive, but her melodies were not very hard.
Well, yeah, I mean, I can get most of it, but like I said, I can only relate so much to the struggles of a singer. Something a little more in my wheelhouse, but also something that you seem like you're killing the game at more than I ever could at this point. I wanted to ask a very short question. If you know, unless you feel so inspired, who's your biggest production influence?
Can I name you, like, 5?
Whatever, yeah. However, whatever you feel inspired to say.
I would say Frank Ocean. I would say Blake Mills. Would also say Quincy Jones. And James Blake. And, like, Lauryn Hill's and the Fugees.
Awesome. Do you know the Quincy Jones album, You've Got It Bad, Girl?
No, I'm going to check it out.
It's one of my favorite albums of all time. It's so good.
I'm just really familiar with all of his work with Michael Jackson.
Oh, yeah, of course.
And it's just so good. It's crazy how good it is.
All right. My last question.
All right.
I like to ask my musical guests about comedy because I'm a big stand-up comedy nerd. Who's your favorite comedian, or what's your favorite thing about comedy that influences your life?
Oh, Dave Chappelle. He's
Same.
The GOAT.
Yep.
Right now, there's just not one comedian alive. I don't think. I don't know. Maybe there's one. I don't even like Chris Rock even nearly as much as I like Dave Chappelle.
Patrice O'Neal was up there for me.
I respect Chris Rock, but I think Dave Chappelle is so much more of a genius. Like, nobody delivers the way that Dave Chappelle does. And, like, he doesn't appear to have jokes. It seems like he just gets up there and just starts talking. And he's just funny. And he has this really funny outlook on life, and it's also really deep, crazy deep, but in a stupid way. He literally can be simultaneously goofy and stupid and, like, so deep at the exact same time. The Black White Supremacist is the perfect example of this. It's just stupid, goofy, like, just, like, so stupid, but, like, so deep.
Yeah, I mean,
because how stupid it is exactly how stupid racism is.
Yeah,
and that's the whole point of the entire overall skit. You're like, wow, this is really stupid. A blind black guy who thinks he's white and is racist. It's like, yeah, that's how stupid racism is. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Oh, it's
like,
legendary.
This is how stupid racist people are.
Yeah.
This is like how stupid the whole thing is. The whole thing is stupid. You know, like, that's the point of this whole skit. And, like, okay, I got another guy who's on the same level, and he just passed away, I think. On the same level as Dave Chappelle, Paul Mooney.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my God.
Legendary.
Paul Mooney, dude. Paul Mooney, holy shit. And that's because he wrote with Dave Chappelle for Chappelle's show. So, like, for all we know, Black White Supremacist was his idea.
Yeah, well, and he wrote
Chappelle
for
just killed it.
Richard Pryor, too. I mean, he's got one of the most heavy...
I'm going to say Paul Mooney and Dave Chappelle, and I just don't think it gets any better.
Yeah.
Don't think it gets any better. We had a time capsule. They're sent to space. We can only put 2 comedians in it. I'm going to say Paul Mooney and Dave Chappelle.
Awesome. Well, Jackie, this has been an awesome interview. You're so cool for doing this.
No problem, man. I'm just chilling in Minnesota. It's nice to have a good conversation.
Yeah. Well, I really hope I'm not gigging the night you come to Albany, because you're coming around my neck of the woods soon. Can you?
Yeah, I'll tell you the date. Give me a second.
Well, anything you want to talk about that's coming up, just to wrap things up, what do you want to tell everyone to keep an eye out for? Where should they look out for you?
My new album drops on Friday, and it would be really cool to have it just be like killer, just like out the gate, just like boom, like 45 listens a day minimum. Like, it would be so cool to have this release just be like, fuck you know, like, compared to all my other releases. I just wanted to just like burn down my numbers on my other releases.
Well, you're already doing that with the singles, right?
I think so, but I don't want I hope the steam stays up. But you're saying, is there anything I want? I want people to listen to the new album on Friday.
Yeah.
That's what I want. Or after Friday. Whenever they hear this, I want them to go listen to it. That's all.
Awesome. And do you want to say anything about the tour, or just visit your website?
Oh, no, the tour isn't... The world is very unsure right now. So the tour is... There's a big question mark on a lot of these dates coming up.
All right.
That's all I got to say.
Well, listeners, let's all just keep our eyes open. I'm really hoping I get to see a show soon, but if not...
Saturday, October 9th. That's it.
Okay. Well, yeah, either way, I'll be keeping an eye out. I'm hoping to make it back to Austin sometime. But
cool.
Thank you so much for doing this, Jackie. And,
yeah, no problem. Good times.